On the vast savannah, a pack of hyenas moves in silence, observing and waiting for the moment to strike. Just a moment of misstep, and they lunge, shattering the prey's formation in an instant. These hunts don't end with speed, but with sustained pressure until there's no escape. On the African savannah, lions, often called kings of the jungle, mainly live in savannas, grasslands, and scrublands, with a small population in India. In the Serengeti, they control territories of tens of square kilometers, where antelopes and zebras migrate annually. Lionesses are efficient hunters, but spend a lot of time resting to conserve energy. And it is this rhythm of life that creates vulnerable spaces for disturbance. On the savannah, a lioness resting on the grass spotted a pack of hyenas approaching. Instead of a direct attack, they fanned out in multiple directions, circling around to scout and draw attention, gradually forming a pincer movement. When the lioness charged to dislodge them, the hyenas dodged and immediately turned back, tightening the encirclement in rhythmic bursts. The lioness continuously maneuvered to counter the multiple approaches, while the hyenas maintained pressure through sheer numbers and brief skirmishes. Her declining stamina forced her to retreat to a safer position. The hyenas pursued, cutting across her path and narrowing the gap. The situation culminated when the lioness was forced to climb a tree, and control shifted to the hyenas. In this type of confrontation, the outcome gradually revealed itself through sustained pressure over time, rather than a single action. When the pace shifted, the initial advantage quickly diminished, and when the distance was no longer controlled, the outcome was almost predetermined. In the East African savannah, herds of wildebeest move across vast open spaces where clear visibility allows for early detection of danger. They live in large herds and react very quickly. The alertness of one individual is enough to send the entire herd accelerating. Their rhythm of life is tied to constant migration and foraging, and this very state gradually creates moments of chaos when threatened from multiple directions. From the edge of the bushes, a hyena emerges, maintaining its distance and observing, gradually closing the gap. It doesn't charge immediately, but maneuvers around, forcing the group to shift direction and disrupt their formation, then suddenly accelerates when the distance is close enough. This burst of speed instantly breaks the stability, causing the entire pack to fall apart in an instant. In this chaotic movement, an individual is separated from the group and forced to run alone, thus becoming the target of relentless pursuit. The hyena maintains pressure over a long distance, constantly cutting corners and closing the gap in rhythm. When the pace slows, control shifts completely to the predator, and the outcome is quickly established. In these chases, the outcome doesn't come from the initial burst of speed, but from maintaining pressure over time. When the formation breaks, gaps appear and are rarely filled in time. When the distance is controlled in rhythmic bursts, the outcome is almost irreversible. In many areas from Africa to Asia, leopards are adapted to dense forests, savannas, rocky mountains, and even areas near human settlements. They hunt alone, often stalking for long periods before striking in a matter of seconds, and frequently drag their prey up trees to prevent theft. This habit of holding on to their prey creates vulnerable moments for them to be targeted from the ground. From the edge of the bush, a hyena emerged, maintaining its distance and observing, gradually narrowing its approach. It didn't charge immediately, but circled, shifting the leopard's position, then suddenly closing in when an opening appeared. This abrupt change forced the leopard to retreat and switch to a defensive stance. The confrontation dragged on as the hyena continuously applied pressure with short approaches, forcing the leopard to change positions to secure its prey. The steady pressure eroded its advantage, forcing it to leave the area to avoid prolonged conflict. The battle concluded when the prey was seized, and control was no longer in the original hold. In battles like this, advantage is built on maintaining a steady pace over time rather than a single action. As the advantage erodes with each move, the ability to maintain control diminishes, and once control is lost, the chance of regaining it is almost non-existent. In the savannah and vast grasslands, African buffalo live in large herds, sometimes numbering in the hundreds, moving together to find food and observe for danger. They react strongly when threatened, especially when young are at risk, and the entire herd may turn to protect them. However, this dense movement gradually creates gaps that are difficult to maintain, thus opening up opportunities for exploitation. From the edge of the forest, a pack of hyenas maintained their distance and began harassing the buffalo herd to disrupt their formation. They moved in multiple directions, forcing the buffalo to constantly change direction. When an individual slowed down and strayed from the line, they accelerated, closing in and engaging in a deliberate pursuit. The separated buffalo had to run alone and try to return to the herd, but the intersecting approaches quickly eliminated the safe space. The hyenas took turns pursuing, maintaining pressure and closing the gap until control shifted. In such clashes, the outcome is shaped by sustained pressure rather than an initial burst of activity. When the formation is broken, gaps appear and are difficult to fill in time. When the distance is controlled in rhythmic movements, the result is almost predetermined. Along rivers, lakes, and swamps, crocodiles lurk in still waters, where the line between safety and danger is almost imperceptible. They don't hunt by pursuit, but wait, holding their position for extended periods, waiting for a single opportunity. This hunting method gradually creates vulnerable moments for them to be targeted from the ground. On the riverbank, a pack of hyenas spotted a crocodile holding its prey. Instead of charging in immediately, they circled around, maintaining distance and applying pressure from multiple directions. Short, close approaches forced the crocodile to constantly turn, destabilizing its position and creating gaps in its defenses. The struggle continued as the hyenas took turns closing in, cutting off the crocodile's path and preventing it from holding its position. The constant pressure forced it to retreat in fear. the hyenas maintained pressure and closed the distance until control shifted, and the prey was no longer in the original holder's possession. On the vast savannas near water sources, zebras move in large herds, relying on open space to observe danger from afar. They maintain tight formations, with individuals acting as lookouts and reacting very quickly to warning signals. This collective lifestyle gradually creates moments when the formation is easily disrupted. From afar on the grassland, a hyena spots a young zebra that has strayed from the herd and silently closes the distance. It doesn't charge immediately, waiting for the zebra's pace to slow down, then suddenly accelerates, causing the young zebra to panic and completely separate from the group, initiating a chase. The pursuit continues as the zebra repeatedly changes direction to rejoin the herd, but its paths of approach are cut off, gradually blocking its return. The hyena persistently pursues, adjusting its course and closing the gap with each step, until control shifts entirely to the predator. In this type of confrontation, the outcome is determined more by sustained pressure than by an initial burst of speed. When the pace shifts, the initial advantage quickly diminishes, and when the distance is no longer controlled, the outcome is almost predetermined. In the savannas and open forests, rhinos move alone, relying on their sense of smell and hearing to detect danger while having limited eyesight. They mark their territory clearly and generally avoid conflict unless provoked. This stable lifestyle gradually creates moments of slow reaction, leaving them vulnerable to approaches from multiple directions. On a wide grassland, a pack of hyenas encounters a group of rhinos and circles around them, observing their reaction, maintaining distance, and scrutinizing their movements. They maintain a steady rhythm, forcing their target to constantly turn, gradually closing the gap. When gaps appear, closing in occurs, pushing the situation into a corner. The confrontation drags on as the rhinos repeatedly accelerate to counterattack, but the changing approaches prevent them from maintaining a stable position, causing their reaction rhythm to gradually shift. The hyenas maintain pressure from multiple directions, controlling the distance until the tide turns in favor of the hyena pack. The outcome doesn't depend on individual strength, but on maintaining the rhythm of pressure and changing positions over time. When the reaction rhythm is disrupted, the initial advantage quickly diminishes, leading to a loss of local control. And once the distance has been gradually controlled, the outcome becomes almost irreversible. The common thread in every encounter is the hyena's ability to observe, coordinate, and maintain pressure with each movement. The key takeaway lies not in individual strength, but in controlling distance and disrupting the opponent's reaction rhythm. And once the rhythm is controlled, the outcome is often decided before a second chance arises. On dangerous open fields, big cats are constantly hunting in a relentless competition with their prey and other predators. There are the precise bursts of speed from the cheetah, but also the sudden lunges of the lion or leopard that change the entire course of events. And as the distance narrows, every confrontation can end in an unpredictable way. Within the dense thicket of bushes and low trees, the leopard moved stealthily, constantly observing changes around its territory. Leopards possess a very stealthy hunting instinct and often utilize the thick grass and terrain to approach their target with minimal noise. Their strong muscles, powerful jaws, and climbing abilities allowed them to maintain an escape route before the lion began to approach. As the leopard began moving through the area where the lion usually lurked, a lion spotted it from a distance and began to keep its distance, slowly circling around to narrow its escape route. Suddenly, the lion accelerated and lunged towards the leopard to cut it off from the open ground. Just as the lion closed in to gain the advantage, the leopard immediately lowered its body and retreated. If an opening appeared, the leopard quickly slid into the bushes to escape the lion's pressure. But in the moment of being cornered, the leopard could only maintain a defensive posture before finding a safe escape route. The confrontation ended with lion gaining control of the area, while leopard was forced to leave the open space to avoid further encroachment. On the wide grassland with many low bushes, the impala herd constantly observes its surroundings and listens for subtle movements. Impalas have a very keen survival instinct and always maintain a high state of alertness when moving with the herd. Their long legs and flexible muscles allow them to accelerate very quickly, which is also when cheetahs begin to approach from behind. When a young impala deviates slightly from the group, the cheetah lowers its body and silently closes the distance. The cheetah maintains a suitable distance before suddenly accelerating to cut off the impala's path. The cheetah lunges from the side to force the impala off course on the open grassland. The impala immediately changes direction repeatedly to prolong the chase and disrupt the cheetah's acceleration. But when the cheetah chooses the right moment, its speed advantage still allows it to quickly close in on its target. The hunt ends when the cheetah controls the impala's direction of flight, before the prey can rejoin the group. This moment demonstrates that speed alone is not a guarantee of victory without the right distance and timing. The cheetah must combine patience, target selection, and precise acceleration to complete the hunt. A single misstep from either the impala or the cheetah can alter the entire outcome on the open grassland. For many years on the East African grasslands, Wildebeests are almost inseparable from their herds for most of their lives, moving together in large groups and maintaining close distances to minimize risk. When danger is detected, hundreds of individuals can change direction almost simultaneously in seconds, creating a collective response that is very difficult to break. And this often leads to confrontations in areas where water crosses. At a shallow section of river, a female lion spotted a wildebeest confined to the shallow mud and began to approach slowly from the front. She kept her gaze fixed and advanced step by step, waiting for enough distance to gain an advantage. But the wildebeest did not flee, but stood still, observing and lowering its head, thus forcing the situation into a direct confrontation. Despite the wildebeest's strong reaction, it is still separated from the herd during that moment of slow movement. The lion continued to maintain pressure from the flank, while other members of the pride quickly moved in to provide support. The hunt ended when the wildebeest was separated from the group and could no longer maintain a safe distance from the pride. The wildebeest maintained its position and escaped the situation safely. In such brief moments, the outcome of a confrontation is often determined by reaction and distance. When the prey maintains its rhythm and doesn't turn and flee, the predator's initial advantage quickly diminishes, and the hunt ends in seconds. In open ground, the cheetah constantly observes its surroundings before stepping out of its safe zone. Cheetahs have very precise hunting instincts, often choosing weaker targets or individuals that are out of sync within the pack. Speed, light body, and long legs give the cheetah a significant advantage when running, which is also when the leopard begins to silently approach from behind. While the prey is still in open ground, the leopard begins to move slowly to close the distance. The leopard doesn't rush out, but maintains a position close enough before suddenly accelerating from the side. The leopard's strong approach forces the cheetah to immediately abandon the prey to avoid a direct collision. As soon as the leopard continues to close in, the cheetah immediately retreats towards open ground to avoid a prolonged collision. But when the leopard gets close to the prey, the cheetah is also forced to leave the area to create a safe distance. The confrontation ended with leopard securing the front line, while cheetah retreated to avoid injury. This encounter demonstrated that speed isn't always the best way to secure a hunt. In many situations, avoiding direct confrontation is crucial when the opponent has an advantage in strength and control of the area. On open grasslands, survival depends on the decision to retreat before the distance narrows completely. After a hunt on dry land, the wild dog pack remained close together, constantly communicating with short calls. Wild dogs have a highly disciplined pack hunting instinct and often coordinate from multiple directions to corner their target. Their high endurance allows the pack to maintain a steady rhythm of movement, which is when the lion begins to silently approach from a hidden direction. While the wild dog pack is still in formation, the lion keeps its body low and silently closes the distance through the low grass. The lion doesn't give a signal beforehand, but waits for the moment an individual reacts slowly before suddenly lunging forward. The lion charges directly at the nearest wild dog group to disrupt the pack's formation. A few adult wild dogs give a warning call and quickly retreat into the bushes to create sufficient distance. The lion doesn't need to pursue for too long, as its main goal is to disrupt the formation and maintain its presence in the area ahead. The confrontation ended when the wild dogs were forced to retreat from the open ground, while Lion held his position after a well-timed close-range approach. On the dry land near the remaining food, the hyenas constantly moved around the area, communicating with short sounds. Hyenas have a very strong survival instinct, often pursuing injured prey or competing for food for extended periods. Their strong jaws and ability to coordinate as a group allowed them to maintain the initiative before the lion began to approach the area. As the hyenas continued to approach the remaining food, the lion kept its body low and moved slowly to observe the group's reaction. The lion didn't rush in immediately, maintaining distance before suddenly accelerating forward. The lion unexpectedly charged straight into the nearest group of hyenas to force them away from the food area. Adult hyenas turned to face the lion and emitted warning sounds to maintain formation around the group. But as the lion continued to advance and maintained its position in front of the food area, the hyenas began to retreat and gradually left the area. The confrontation ended with Lion securing the remaining food, forcing the hyenas to retreat from the open ground. This encounter demonstrated the hyenas' tenacity and remarkable coordination in the struggle for food. But with Lion holding their position and reacting at the right moment, the hyenas' numerical advantage was no longer enough to control the situation. On the savannah, many confrontations often change after a single, precise moment of engagement. Along the clearing still bearing traces of the previous hunt, hyenas began to appear upon detecting the scent of food from afar. Hyenas have extremely sensitive noses and hearing, allowing them to quickly track down carcasses or injured animals. Their strong jaws and ability to coordinate as a pack make them even more dangerous. And this is when the cheetahs began to notice the approaching movements. Sensitive. While the cheetahs remained near their recently caught prey, the hyenas slowly moved around the area ahead. They continuously closed in, forcing the cheetahs away from the remaining food. One adult hyena suddenly accelerated and charged straight ahead to cut the distance between itself and the prey. It is out with explosive speed, forcing the capybara to change course and find its way into the water in a very short time. Before the encirclement closed, the cheetahs also began to retreat to avoid a direct confrontation with the group. As the hyena advanced and moved closer to the prey, the cheetah moved away to create sufficient distance. The confrontation ended with the hyena securing the food, while the cheetah was forced to retreat to avoid injury. To close the distance often determined the outcome, and capybara didn't have time to create a safe distance to escape the initial pressure. Under the relentless heat of the African savanna, speed, strength, and the ability to control distance always determine the survival chances of each predator. Some encounters end in complete dominance, but there are also moments when a well-timed retreat is the most crucial choice. If you enjoy the intense confrontations of big cats, continue following the next installments of this journey.